All right, now we can get started. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. It's going to be a very nice webinar today with John Schaub and Pete Fortunato. Thank you very much, both of you, for being with us on this lovely May 10th afternoon. The people involved today, again, are going to be John Schaub, Peter Fortunato, and my name is Alex Perny. I'm with Advanta IRA. A little bit of the fun legal disclaimer stuff that we have to get out of the way before we give any presentation is that Advanta IRA and our employees, we do not provide any tax, legal, or investment advice, nor do we endorse any products. All information given today is for informational and educational purposes only, and all parties are encouraged to consult with their attorneys, accountants, financial advisors, and any other advisory firm before entering into any financial transaction. So with all the fun stuff out of the way, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the presentation of why you're here today, a little bit about us as a company. We have a combined over 20 years experience in self-directing IRAs. Mainly anything that we're going to kind of touch on today can pretty much be structured within a self-directed type of account, or you can utilize a self-directed IRA or 401k into that type of capacity for real estate investing or creative deal making. We utilize networks of FDIC insured products for all of our cash held at Advanta, and we also currently maintain over $700 million in assets for our clients. And the nice thing about the personal touch that we offer here at Advanta, as opposed to most other places, is that you get dedicated account management to help you through those creative deals and the other types of situations that really lend themselves to a helping hand with regards to self-direction. So the reason most all of you are here today is that because you're interested in getting a little bit of information from two very well-respected names in real estate investing in the United States. Today, Pete Fortunato and John Schaub. They're going to be hosting a seminar in, I believe, next weekend, not the one coming up, but the following one, the 20th and the 21st at the Holiday Inn Tampa West Shore location. It is going to be 2 full days of creative deal making, interesting ways to utilize money and to invest in real estate and to avoid paying taxes, not paying too much taxes, and also a lot of other interesting information that can be provided by 2 very experienced real estate investors. I personally have attended this course last year, and I can say that without a doubt, it's absolutely worth my time, and especially if you are paying to go there, certainly worth your money as well. There will be more information on how to register for that seminar at the very end of this. And also right here on the front of your screen, johnschaub.com is where you can go to get the direct information on how to register and attend the seminar that is going to be taking place in 2 weeks with them. So let me give a little introduction of both my co-presenters today. Pete Fortunato comes to us by way of sunny Massachusetts. I think it would probably be getting a little bit sunnier up there around this time of year. He has over 50 years of real estate experience, graduating high school in 1965, going directly into real estate investing. So I think as a video put out by Bill Cook the other day I saw, maybe not the other day, but 2015 marked 50 years in the game for Pete. So a very, very great milestone for a very informative individual who you'll be able to get some information from today. And John Schaub is a Florida native, graduate of University of Florida, and local resident of Sarasota down here in sunny Florida, with very many years of experience between the 2 of them. I'm going to turn this over to both of them. It's going to be kind of a free-form presentation. They're going to go into some of what they're going to be covering in the seminar, but please ask questions. If you have stuff that you want to get out there, we're obviously probably not going to get to everyone's question, but type them into the chat box. I will be moderating that and be getting and interjecting in those questions. So we have about 30 minutes for y'all to get the stuff in there and really get some good information and really get some one-on-one time with 2 wonderful individuals. So with that said, John and Pete, I'm going to put up the great Pete Fortunato house that so many people are well and familiar with. And if you all just want to go into a little bit about what's going to be covered and what you think people need to know in order to best benefit themselves if maybe they're just starting into real estate investing, or if they're thinking about coming to the class, what would really benefit them from the more seasoned investor's point of view?
Well, take off, Pete, if you've got something.
Okay. Well, as Alex said, I am seriously old. I've been doing this for a long time. But what we're going to talk about is people and how helping others helps yourself. So if you've got yourself an idea or a plan for getting some assets, so you understand that you can one day be free to do whatever you please with your life, and you get enough assets, you can then do the things you enjoy and enjoy the things you want to do with your loved ones. The way you get those things is by helping others get something that they want. And we're going to talk a lot, or at least I'm going to talk a lot, and in the class about the starter who begins on that adventure with no assets and has to go get some, the estate builder who's in the middle of the program, and the people I used to call enders before Valerie Schaub corrected me, and they're now called spenders, who have enough assets so they can enjoy the income and cooperate. An example of that is when I was a starter and I was trying to buy my first property, the first thing I did is encourage a lot of people to help. I asked and asked and asked for help. And those people taught me, referred people to me, and helped me get my first assets. Now, if I had just saved up rather than been proactive, I wouldn't be there yet. So what I'm planning to do during my time this weekend with John is talk about the relationships that are developed between people getting started, equity guys and paper guys. Paper guys are typically people who like income, but they're afraid of plungers. And then the wealth builders who are starting to have some contacts, some connections, some credit, some deals that they've done that they can point to. And then the spenders who can help finance something. I had a very good friend who had a mortgage on one of my houses get sick. And I went to a meeting of real estate people at the Monday night meeting here in Pinellas, and I said, gee, my friend is sick. He'd really like to cash out that mortgage. Does anybody want to get an 8% return on a first mortgage? And 3 people got up at the meeting because we knew one another, because I asked for help from my friend, and 3 different IRAs, 3 different people for their IRAs offered to buy that mortgage. So I'm no longer paying Mark. I'm now paying Bob's IRA. And those are the kind of things we're going to talk about an awful lot. What's in it for you? What's in it for others? And having discovered both of those things, going out and making something happen to make your life more positive and to get out of the rat race.
Absolutely. It's a great point on helping people help themselves and helping people help other people. It's very sound guidance for not only investing but for most of life as well. But I want to field it a little bit over to John. Maybe if you have a little bit of an example, kind of like Pete said, of a creative way that you managed to find a deal maybe at a real estate club or, in your normal course of life, with your investing strategy. What's a, creative networking type way that you've found deals or some stuff that you might be touching on in the course next weekend?
Well, first of all, I need to say that I'm much younger than Pete, almost a year, I think. But I'm going to focus on for people who have assets to show them how they increase their cash flow on their existing assets, and for people who are starting, how to buy properties and how to buy other investments that have cash flow from day one. The mistake I see people make is I call it the Peter principle. We named it after Peter Fortunato, and if you know the Peter principle for management, it's people who get promoted beyond their abilities to do the job. Well, in real estate, people kind of promote themselves beyond their ability to make money. They get involved in deals they don't understand, don't know how to manage, can't make payments on, and they become targets after a while. They're people we want to buy from, but that's not the way to operate. I taught a course for many years called Making It Big on Little Deals, and my strategy has always been to keep the deal small enough where it's a small deal to you. Now, that size of a deal is going to grow over time, and one day you may wake up and be doing $500,000 deals, $1 million deals, but they'll still be little deals to you because you have the assets and the knowledge to make that work. When we first started, we didn't have groups like the investment clubs today, so I started, kind of the old-fashioned way. First of all, I talked to people who I was doing business with every day. I talked to my landlord. I talked to people I sold real estate to or bought real estate from. I talked to people who I knew were interested in the same business that I was interested in, and we struck up conversations, and we talked about how we could make money together. And just like Pete is talking about, These relationships lasted a long time. They grew over time. And if you're fortunate enough to find one or two people, it doesn't take a lot. I'm not encouraging people to go out and look for 10 investors, but one or two people that are like-minded as you are as far as growing assets, as far as the amount of risk you'll take, who understand that the amount of effort it takes to manage a property well. If you can develop relationships with them, and they have some money and they have credit, and sometimes they have knowledge, which is helpful to you, those people make a great part of your team, and especially when you're starting, they allow you to grow much faster than, like Pete was saying, if you try to do it by yourself. So we'll talk about making deals with folks, with people that you know. If you don't know anybody, maybe you need a better group of friends. We'll tell you how to go find some people. We'll show you where the people with money go out and hang out. But interesting enough, in a room like we'll have, probably half the people have money and are looking for deals, and the other half have deals and are looking for money. So it's a good place to start.
Absolutely, and that's another point that I'd like to bring up is that the networking opportunity of these things is almost, it certainly isn't as valuable as the knowledge you can take, because you're teaching yourself to fish at this point, going out there and being able to provide for yourself and take the knowledge and apply it. But the opportunities to network at these types of events that both Pete and John put on is phenomenal. We're also going to be putting on a cocktail hour after the first day to help, ameliorate some of the tension. If you have a lot of questions and you want to get together with other people there and kind of network and chat, we're going to try to help facilitate that a little bit as well. So it's a great point. Networking in these rooms where you have all these people that are coming for the same thing. Don't get up and grab your bag and run out and just look at your notes in the hotel room. Make an effort to talk to these people, because like John just said, he didn't have these types of groups. He talked to the people that he knew that were doing the same kind of things. And like Pete said, he asked for help for these types of things. So, use these people to ask for help to figure out, what you're trying to do, because the people in here that are doing this are trying to learn to apply it. Now, looking at this, sorry.
I got a quick example on that. When I was buying my fourth property, I made a deal to buy a house for actually a fourplex for $50,000, $10,000 down, and seller would carry a $40,000 note secured by a first mortgage. Now, this was a great deal. This was my fourth property. The only problem was I didn't have $10,000. So aside from the fact I didn't have any money, I was all over this deal. So I went to a tenant in the second house that I'd ever bought. So now remember, this is my fourth, so I don't have vast experience at this point. And I was talking to the tenant, explaining that I was going to buy the property down the street, and if only I had $10,000. And it turned out she had $10,000 in the bank. And so I asked her how much the bank was paying her, and I offered to give her more than that. And I bought my fourth house with $10,000 cash that I borrowed from a tenant in my second house. And that's the story. With all the weird things I've done, because I really do love playing this game, that's the story no one believes, because no one believes a tenant ever had $10,000 or that any landlord ever had a good enough relationship with a tenant to borrow $10,000. But think how that helped. That helped me buy a property, and it tripled the tenant's yield on the cash she had. And so we helped one another. She was in my house, enjoying the use of the house, paying me rent. I was paying her no more interest than I would have paid to an institution, but I was paying it to the lady who was paying me rent. Those are the kind of things you can do if you talk and ask about what's going on in people's lives. And a question like, let's see if I can help, is hardly threatening. And I interfere in the lives of everyone I bump into. Never stop.
It's certainly interesting. And Pete, if you don't remember, what was the going interest rate back then that you were negotiating with her?
I paid her 9% interest, and she removed the funds from the bank in Beverly, Massachusetts, which they were paying her 3%.
Oh, not bad. Well, a bank paying you 3%, that'd have been nice, especially today.
Yeah, you should have been there in 1981. 1981, they're paying 11%.
That would have been quite interesting. I would have made for a very interesting market for real estate investors. Possibly some more opportunities out there for less people in the marketplace. But it
Well,
brings up a good point. Sorry.
I was going to say, in every market there's opportunity, and that's, people, you get people who are starting, they're saying, well, I'm going to wait for the market to turn around because the deal is better, and they just don't understand that you use different techniques in different markets. But I made a list of our 10 best deals we ever made here this morning, just for fun of it, and they were spread all over every market. They weren't all in distressed markets. Some of them were, but some of them were in great markets like we have today that are going up. And you just use different techniques. If you think about what people are looking for today, there are a whole bunch of investors trying to get into this market, and they don't know how to. They have money just like the lady Pete was talking about, sitting in the bank, not earning much money, and they would love to somehow participate in this real estate market, but they don't know how to buy a property. They don't know how to manage a property. They don't know how to finance a property. So people who acquire those skills, they won't have a hard time finding money. What they'll have a hard time finding is deals when they first start. And that's why we're teaching this class. The name of the class is The Art of the Deal, showing people how to put these deals together, how to find them, and how to put them together.
Gotcha. So maybe kind of go over, just how you've seen some of the evolution of finding the deal change from, when you first started. Obviously there's more groups and there's more people out there, but have the prevailing sentiments changed with regards to finding deals out there?
I don't think the laziness of people with computers has certainly affected people's ability to make a good deal, because a good deal is made face-to-face, eye-to-eye. If I send an email making you an offer and you come back and say no, that's very different than if we do it face-to-face and I see that you were crying when you said no, or you were laughing at me when you said no. It really does. It is a face-to-face business. But the important thing is I made 200 offers before my first deal closed. It took 2 years to close my first deal. That was the first deal I did. The first time I created enough rapport, got a relationship with somebody, made a deal, and it was a great deal. And I did what I said. And after that, I then had that person to refer others to me, that person to cite that transaction I'd done to cite, and so it made it easier. Then the next year is easier. Today, I do almost all my business as repeat and referral business. Well, when I began, I didn't have that. And the repeat and referral business, based on relationships and deals you close with people, which means you benefited them, make it ever easier to make a deal.
Yeah, just in the last couple of days, I can tell you, I had my haircut about 2 hours ago, my annual haircut, and the lady cutting my hair said, the guy that was in here right before you wants to sell his mother's house, but he can't sell it because it needs work. I said, why don't you have him call me? Yesterday I ran into a guy. He said, I was just looking at the houses, the foreclosures this week. They can't make the payments for the foreclosure this week. Now, here's the interesting thing about both those houses. Neither one of them is listed. Neither one of them has a sign in the front yard. Neither one of those people goes to a real estate group. You have to talk to somebody to find these houses, or like we do in my class when I teach an acquisition class, we actually go up and down the street knocking on doors and talking to real people. And by doing that, and it sounds kind of old-fashioned, but by talking to folks, you learn an awful lot about the market, what things rent for, what things will sell for, and you learn a lot about neighborhoods. But you find the best deals that way because you don't have any competition. When the house gets an MLS or it gets presented at a real estate club, you have competition. There's 5 other people trying to buy that house if it's a good deal. And the best deals are the ones that you find all by yourself and nobody else is competing with you to buy.
Sure, absolutely. And for both of you, over the years, have you seen any sort of maybe increased benefit from the use of technology, or has it kind of remained steady that the face-to-face and human interaction really has been the primary focus for being successful in what you've done?
Well, I think in terms of buying and selling and helping people, there's nothing comes close to face-to-face. Nothing. The information. Now, that said, I used to have to go to the courthouse to research, and I loved it. I used to sit in the Essex South District Registry of Deeds and read the documents and see what people had done and look for opportunities. And today, if I need information about a property, I can go online and get it. Now, we're doing a deal last week where my son and I had to go back to the courthouse because we had to search back to 1912. But that's rarely the case anymore. In the past, I spent hours in courthouses, and my son, when he got old enough so that he could do it as well as me, I would just lean on him. Now I lean on him when I need help with the computer when I break it one more time. But I can get access to information over the computer, and I find that much easier, saves me a lot of time. But the people sit down and find out what's going on in their life. Because, Warren Harding taught us years ago that opportunities are born of uncomfortable circumstances. And if you don't talk to folks, you don't discover the uncomfortable circumstances.
Absolutely. John, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, well, one thing Peter said there, he and I both have adult children who are interested in being in this business. So we think all the time about how to put together deals with them or how to help them put together deals. And this is, we call it multi-generational investing. If you don't have a family, you will find that there's a lot of folks out there who don't have families, who are investors, who are looking for somebody to partner with. If you find somebody who's 80 years old and has 10 houses, they may be tired of managing, and that's an excellent place to start partnering up with somebody much younger who can do the work, and that's a kind of a marriage made in heaven. So we'll talk about putting together relationships like that and how to structure them so that each person gets what they want out of the deal. I mean, the person who's 80 may not want any more growth. They may be happy with some cash flow. They may not need too much cash flow. They may just be trying to get out of management. So you look at different needs that people have, and you structure things directly to take care of those needs. One more thing on the technology side, I agree with Peter. You do a lot of research, but what happens is you do all this research on your computer, and unless you go out and knock on a door and meet the people who own the property, you're very unlikely to make the deal. Because as Pete points out, the face-to-face negotiation teaches you so much, and it's something, if you don't like to do this, if you're not good at it, you need to learn how to get good at it. There's just no shortcut around here. Or partner up with somebody who likes to do it. And there's only two kinds of people in the world: people that like to do things like this, that are aggressive and risk takers, and folks that just like to stay home and watch TV, and they tend to marry each other. So it's interesting.
That is certainly an interesting point. We do have a quick question, and Pete, this would probably be one a little bit more geared towards you. Gentleman's asking where they can find some RIA groups for North Pinellas County. Most of them that I attend and that I see you at are mainly central and south. Do you know anything up north, maybe closer to like Dunedin, Tarpon area?
Well, I know Barbie Moss has a meeting every couple of Wednesdays at 60 in Clearwater. The Millerites meet first and third Wednesdays at the IHOP on Spruce in Tampa, right just south of the airport. And that's well worth going to, simply because they're older folks who've seen a lot and who have accomplished a lot, and they tend to be a majority landlords as opposed to investors, businessmen, and people looking for work. And that would be a great place to go to get to know some folks. I'll tell you, I go every Monday night to the Monday night meeting here. I go every Thursday to Exchangers, and I go to other meetings, but not as dedicated to the other meetings. Because at those meetings, I can talk to people and find out what's going on. And if I don't make a deal, that doesn't mean I don't learn something by exchanging information with people who are trying to make a deal. And so I'm always attuned to listening to what's happening and how can that help me. When John and I used to go to the Florida Real Estate Exchanges, which was a fantastic place, I did a lot of business. I did business as an agent, and I did business personally. But all that business pales when compared to what I learned by being there.
Sure, absolutely. Oh, and also Clearwater Investors Club. Carl, I apologize. I don't know exactly how far north is north in Pinellas County, but there's ones out there. You can, I would say go to our website. All the ones that we go to, we keep the one like Pete said, the Monday night meeting, and a lot of those are on our website with times of them. So if you're looking for a resource to find some stuff in Pinellas County, use our website. You can go on there, and our events tab will list everything that we go to. Now that we're coming up on,
it's worth mentioning, Alex, that Peter used to come to our Florida Real Estate Exchangers meeting from Massachusetts. So when people are saying, hey, it's a long way to drive across town to go to a meeting, put things in perspective. There's people coming to this class we're about to teach from all over the country: California, Washington State, Massachusetts, Chicago, Indianapolis. People will travel for good information, and you need to get your head on straight about that. You need to get out of your backyard and go to these meetings.
Absolutely. And since we're coming up on the end of our time here, I'd like to round it out probably with a little bit more of a hot button thing to kind of to get people interested of what kind of things are we going to be covering in the class that are going to be related to potential legislative changes that are coming up, that are proposed, or, your kind of, what we might be covering about your thoughts on the future as it goes for the legal aspect of real estate investing.
All right. Well, the attitude is going to be, never in the history of the world has there been a situation so terrible that government couldn't make it worse. And so everything will come from there. And every single time any action is taken by government, you're going to have to sit down and say, how is this going to affect me? How can I make it positive? How can I avoid the damage? And we never know. Something people say, the only thing that's constant is change. Well, it's clearly change that's threatened or that's coming. And so we'll talk about doing things in so many different ways and adjusting into all the different ways you can write a deal or make a deal that hopefully people will leave better prepared to adjust when something does change.
Sure. Absolutely. That's one of the biggest things, is being able to be flexible in the marketplace.
Well, and change is a good thing. Change is always happening, of course, and the key is to be prepared for it. I've got a section we're going to teach on how to be prepared, what you can do today to be prepared for the change, whatever it is. If they change all the laws, that's not a bad thing if you're an investor, because most people will stick their head in the sand and say you can't do it anymore. And that's when the opportunities are the best. So, be prepared, embrace change. Look forward to change, and always be ready for it. The old Boy Scout model: be prepared.
Yeah. John and I did a class together a couple of years ago. We called Chaos, and that was because this very thing. The world is not going to sit still and wait for you and just give you a nice, smooth, easy path. The fact that you're willing to adjust when people's lives change, which may or may not be the greater marketplace. It may be a very immediate problem. One of the big problems I have to solve in my world is not taxes. And I certainly do a lot of transactions based upon tax benefits. But recognize from 2006 to 2012 or 13, no one was calling me saying I need shelter for my capital gain. They were saying I need to escape from the losses I've generated. Well, I had to give different kinds of answers back then. But I get calls now from people, and when I say, why would you sell a nice house like this? They say, well, the doctor said I can't handle stairs. So in that instance, I maybe trade them a condo in an elevated building, allowing them to stay in their neighborhood. But that involves talking to people and adjusting to the immediate problem, and their problem may be very different. I always laugh in the classes. I have friends who'd actually take a boat in exchange for real estate. And I know better, but that doesn't mean that if they wanted one, I wouldn't help them to get it.
Sure, absolutely. Well, we're coming up on the 30-minute mark for this presentation today. Everything you need to know for registering for this wonderful class that Pete and John will be teaching is right up on the front of your screen. Again, I can't say enough about what I've gathered from being fortunate enough to be around them and being involved with many of their classes over the past few years. But what I can say is that it certainly has always been worth my time, and that's one of the biggest things. Money you can always make more of, but you can never make more time. So it certainly is something I do find valuable for myself and spending my time to help increase my knowledge base. Any last kind of things that anyone would like to do? I know we didn't have many questions, but if you'd like to fire one in real quick at the end, Pete and John have anything to go as far as closing statements on this one?
Well, just to kind of restate, I'm looking forward to a change here. I think there'll be a change in the market here. We're due. You kind of get this gut feeling that things have been going up for 5 or 6 years and they can't go up forever. There's going to be a reversal, and maybe it'll just flatten out. But right now, the rental market is so strong. Even if they eliminated all the tax benefits of owning real estate, you wouldn't take your money out and buy stocks. You'd stay in real estate. So real estate is going to continue to be a good, solid investment for as long as we can see in the future.
Yeah, and I do think as an investor, somebody that was acquiring property and assets so that I could be free. Because the people who know me know my great joy is in not having to do anything. And so I've realized that if I just sit and relax and read a good book, they haven't quite figured out how to tax that yet. So I feel good when I'm spending my time just sitting reading. But the houses that I had that in 2006 I could have sold for huge profits, but I didn't because I chose to keep houses I liked, kept right on producing income. Now, sure, prices went up and down. I looked a lot smarter in 2006 than I did in 2010. But all through the whole up and down of 2006 to 2016, those houses that I kept just kept producing rents, paying for themselves. And now that I'm older, actually producing some cash flow.
Great. Fantastic. Well, again, thank you, gentlemen, very much for being on with us today. We really appreciate it. And if I don't see either of you before next weekend, I look forward to seeing you then. If anyone has any questions, please jot down the information on here about how to register for it, or just email me since you got the contact information from the registration for the webinar as well, and we can also get you in touch with the correct people to register for this. But with that being said, thank you, gentlemen, both very much, and everyone that attended, have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.